So let's bring in our fog. Let's drop down a postage stamp from our fog back. And let's check this out. Fog back over here. And I will bring this down. So for our clouds, let's actually just grab this entire setup with our shuffles, and I'll Control C and paste it over here. And I'll just link this up. And I believe in the case of our fog, we will also need 4 shuffle nodes. So let's start by bringing this in. So for the first one, let's grab our directional back. Second one will be our directional front. Third one will be our dome light. And for the fourth one, let's bring in the volume center. So I will go ahead and just get rid of all of these other grading nodes and press backspace. And we can also maybe now just copy our alpha channel and bring this in our main chain before we do our grading. Let's reverse these nodes and simply add a pre-mult after. And just merge this in with our other elements. Bring this over here. So again, we might want to just disable all of the layers and just go one by one. Let's drop down a grade node for our directional light. Just grade this down and add one for the colors. And I'll just introduce a little bit of blue. Okay, so the directional light from the front, let's enable this. This will sort of be something like a fill light for our volume. So we just want to introduce a little bit of this and also dropped a gray node for the color. Just add a little bit of blue here. And our dome light will be a secondary fill light. So let's also gain this down to something like this and add some blue. And then finally, our center light will be the illumination from the beam. And I might want to decrease the gamma for this also and add a secondary grade. So this is okay for now, and we can further adjust some of these grade nodes, especially the luminance ones. And I'll actually leave this as it is for now because it's worth bringing in the fog volume before we do any grading adjustments to the back fog as well. So let's go ahead up at the top and drop another postage stamp for our front fog and bring this down. And basically, this will use the exact same setup. So I'll just grab all of these nodes, Alt C to bring them down and just hook this up here. And now we can place this in our main chain. So this will be our frontal fog. And again, let's disable all of these and go one by one and start with our directional back. So I might want to increase this. Let's go to our directional front, and I want to maybe decrease this even more. Instead of just fine-tuning this gain over here, I can also drop it down from the multiply. So this will give me a little bit more control over the luminance. We might want to simply disable this entirely. So let's just go ahead and get rid of our directional front AOV. So let's only use our dome light. And I'll drop down the luminance for this. And let's enable our center light. So we end up with something like this. And before we do our pre-mult, I also want to add a second grading node here. And I want to create a simple roto mask to grab the edges of our volume here. So I'll press O. And let's create a simple shape here around the corners. Something like this. And add a blur node. And increase this to maybe 200. point our grade node here. And if I bring the gain down, we create a little bit more shadow right at the corners. And I can now readjust maybe this mask a little bit. So we end up with something like this. So this will be our fog, and let's take care of the final effect, which will be the beam.